All right. Good first day of work. Hopping into JMU. Obviously, have done an exceptional job all year. You're talking about one of the few teams that's top 10 offense, top 10 defense. You watch our offense; they create explosive plays all over the board. Their quarterback can run the ball. Their running back can run the ball. They extend it down the field. Defensively, they create a lot of issues, a lot of different looks, a ton of variety that we have to be able to practice and go through. But overall, really excited about the opportunity for our guys.
Sorry, over to Zach.
Zach?
Talk about the challenges facing Tosh and Will. It's one thing to talk about them and what they're dealing with, but it's another thing to actually do it. How have you seen them kind of face these challenges the past few weeks?
Yeah, they've handled the prep great, right? When you got two jobs and they're doing their job here at Oregon, a total level of focus and commitment on their part. There's a lot of guys in this building. They know that this has never been just about them, right? On either side of the ball, we have a lot of coaches involved in that prep, but ultimately they're handling it really well.
We'll go to James, front row.
It been like having both Gary and Dak back on the field, and just how close is Evan to potentially playing here in the playoffs, Dan?
Yeah, everybody's closer than they were yesterday. It's good seeing guys out there.
Eric, second row.
And I'm wondering, just a younger group going into this for the first time, kind of what have you seen and kind of what's been the messaging about just taking this one day at a time and all that?
I mean, you just said it. It's one day at a time. Your routine, you try to keep the same. It's a new group, but this group has experience. They've played a lot of games this year, and it isn't just another game, right? It's different from that standpoint, right? It's an elimination game, but these guys know what the prep looks like.
Curious what you guys maybe changed or what you kept the same from the process preparing for a playoff game last year, what you did with the extended break.
Yeah, probably not going to hop into the details there, but we have a plan.
In the back, Jack.
Coach, we talked about how special it was to play a playoff game here at Autzen, especially for the fans. But you got a couple local kids. Have you talked to the local players just about how special this is for them as well, especially for a player like Bryce who's ending his college career with a home playoff game?
Yeah, we talked about it back when we played here before. That this hopefully this isn't our last opportunity to play on this field, and obviously guys like that are really excited. We had a senior day here, right, and a lot of those guys were wondering, is this going to be my last moment to get to play there? And we knew if we took care of business, there'd be another opportunity.
Back to Zach in the front row.
How has your team benefited from this time off? You said it'd be good for them to kind of get away from the program for a few days. How have you seen that kind of come to fruition?
Yeah, able to finish up strong academically, a chance for us to be able to do a reset as a coaching staff and evaluate what are we doing really well, what do we need to improve, what wrinkles can we add, and then just a continued growth opportunity for our players.
Next one, James.
Can you take us into what Drew's involvement has been already, just in terms of game preparation and planning, but then also in game calling and et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of involvement. I mean, since the day we got here, Drew's been very strategic in all elements of our game plan, run game, pass game, included personnel changes. He's had a lot of that, but every single offensive coach has been really, really involved in that.
Back to Zach.
Do you have any idea if there will be early enrollees from this past class that will join you throughout this week and as you go on through the bowl prep?
Yeah, it'll all start really for us in January.
Eric, second row.
What stands out about their quarterback and just kind of what he's able to do, especially with his legs?
Yeah, you said it. Like, he can win with his legs, but I think what he doesn't get enough credit for is the ability to connect on deep balls downfield. They're a team that has a great play action game, and they're able to hit shots, on post routes and able to attack you down the field vertically. But obviously, he can run and creates an 11th hat.
In the back, Aaron.
You talked just on the bye weeks this week about how your team is able to add some wrinkles with your offensive and defensive schemes. With this time off, have you been able to kind of take advantage of that, being able to put install some new stuff so that way you're able to be a little bit different than maybe what JMU has seen on tape this season?
Yeah, I think we've challenged ourselves to do that throughout the season, where we always have new wrinkles, new opportunities. We'll see what comes up in this game.
Back up front to James.
What do you think it is, Dan, that over your time to now have three coordinators in Power 4 jobs, there's not too many coaches who can claim that? I think you and Kirby, maybe Dabo at times. What is it that you do that enables your coordinators to have that level of success already? It's one thing to have it on offense with the agency that Kenny and Will had, but for Tosh now too. What are you doing to put these guys in a position
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that I'm doing. I think we hire really good people that work extremely hard, and they realize at Oregon there's an opportunity to, continue opportunities, and those guys reach their opportunities. So we hire really good people that work really hard at their job. There's clear direction of the expectations, and those guys do a great job of modeling what it should look like to get that opportunity and become a head coach. They've learned that. They've sat in that seat, and maybe it's a different seat, but there's a lot of open lines of communication that are going to allow them to have success.
If anybody on Zoom has a question, you can raise your hand too. We'll go back to Zach over here.
AP All-Americans came out today. Obviously, you guys are not focused on individual goals, but you had 4 guys mentioned. That's not nothing. How encouraging is it to see those guys get those accolades, and what does it mean for your program that you're able to bring those guys in?
Yeah, I always think individual success is an attribute to the job that the whole team's done, and I think every one of those guys, I didn't see that who was awarded what, but we have a lot of guys that deserve recognition. It's great that people are recognizing what our players are doing, but I think every one of those guys would tell you any success that's coming their way, it's a derogative of our team's success.
Back to Eric.
Thoughts on how Trey has attacked the rehab process to get back in a place where he could help you guys?
Yeah, he's done a great job. And all these guys have been really eager. Again, it's about us protecting them from themselves at times, but have been really eager to get out there and do the work.
And James.
Similar to what I asked about Drew, but for Hampton, just what has Chris brought to not only reshaping and remodeling that room, but along with Rashad, obviously, in part of the preparation and the game calling and et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, every guy is in charge of individual pieces of the game plan, but obviously, Coach Hamp's done an outstanding job. I think our secondary unit's grown and gotten better every single year, and that's credit to Coach Hamp and Rashad and the job that they've done, Coach Wadood, and really just the entire defensive staff, but very involved. We make all of our decisions together. It's very few times that we split off into different rooms to make decisions. We come back and collectively and say, hey, what's good, what's not good, and work through those details. But he's an outstanding coach and excited for his opportunities here.
If you're on the Zoom, you want to ask a question, please turn on your camera. We'll go to Adam first.
Dan, I'm just wondering with Will and Tosh, how have you sort of organized your time with them in terms of how much they're on Oregon and how much they're on their other jobs? And also, how have you sort of referred to your own experience back at Georgia when you were kind of doing that in 2021?
Yeah, ultimately, it's been when we're here at work, like our hours haven't changed. And when we're here, it's focused on Oregon, right? And then outside of that time is when you have the opportunity to work on things for your other opportunities.
Tommy on Zoom.
What do you see from JMU's defensive line coming off of their 8-sack game against Troy?
Yeah, just extremely disruptive, and they do a great job creating one-on-ones, making it challenging where guys are going to have to win single blocks. They're going to have to win one-on-one blocks. ID and protections are difficult at times too with some of the looks that they present.
Max on Zoom.
Coach, you guys had a big month in November, some big wins, even without some of your best players. Can you talk about just how valuable that has been for you guys as a team and just finding that momentum with the playoffs starting?
I think you always feel the pressure in moments especially when we had a hiccup early against Indiana, that, we didn't have any room, to leave any indecision for anybody, afterwards. And our guys really approach that with each game, has a life of its own, and we have to go attack it, and we can do it in a variety of ways. And I think that's probably the biggest thing we showed is we can win in different ways. I think all 3 phases came together quite a bit in the last 4 games where special teams were making big plays, defense or offense were making big plays for us that were certainly the difference.
Coming back on site, Aaron in the back.
Bayer announced that he wants to return next year to this team. Just how have you kind of seen him grow throughout this season, and how big of an advantage is he going to be coming back next year?
Yeah, certainly not the next year yet, but excited about a guy like Bayer that wants to come back. I think it shows a great deal of maturity on his part and how he's grown and developed into the player that we all knew he could be, and he's gotten better and better each week. Continue to see that growth for him, so excited about what that means for our future.
Back to the front row, and James.
With the postseason, the redshirt rule allows anybody redshirting to play, Dan, but is it plausible for Mackay?
Yeah, I think it's plausible for several of our players.
We're going to go back to the back again. Aaron.
Bending in guys' steps. We're going to talk to a lot of players on the offense today. In your perspective, just from game 1 until now, what area has the offense just grown the most throughout the season?
Yeah, probably more than anything, self-inflicted wounds, and that's just everybody being on the same page, all 11 guys doing their job. Something we grade every single game is our ability to execute our job, or at least do our job. Right? It's not necessarily about you won the one-on-one, but you were where you're supposed to be. I think a lot of it starts when you can eliminate beating yourself, and you beat yourself when you have one guy doing something else.
Anything else, James? Front row.
You've certainly steered into the FIBU mantra for years, Dan. When the narrative nationally is the shoes on the other foot, and how do you create an everybody of doubt where no one's doubt would be, nationally speaking, more doubting than whether or not a G6 deserves to, the two G6 teams deserve to be in a playoff? That's more of what the doubt is heading into a game like that.
Yeah, our standards are standard, right? And you have to. This team wouldn't be here if they didn't play well all season, and they beat teams that had. You'd say on paper, okay, this team has talent, that can out-prepare this team. That's not the case with these guys. These guys have handled those moments this year and been able to perform really well. So you look. I watch the film and I see a really good team that's explosive, that has ability to create plays, but it's really ultimately for our team still going to be about us and our ability to execute.